Here's how you can stay unfazed no matter the circumstance and not let anything get to you. Tips and tricks from the Stoics themselves. For those of you that are new here, my name is Gareth Owen. I'm 24 years old. I moved out on my own around a year and a half ago. Recently lost my father to cancer. Been through multiple relationships and living in a fantastic one right now, as well as doing everything in my power to make something I'm proud of out of my life to take care of the people closest to me, such as my mother. And this is how I plan on becoming my own boss, as well as creating a long lasting community here on YouTube and all the social media platforms. So, to go back to what I was saying about how you can stay unfazed no matter the circumstance and weather the storm, here's just a few of the tricks I've learned over the years, as well as the things I've had to deal with that have gotten me to where I am today. One instance of this that stands out to me the most is early on in my life when I lost my best friend. Now, I'm not talking in terms of a death loss, but more so just a falling apart. Just imagine your first real best friend that has gone the distance with you, lasted alongside you through moves and changes with family issues and schools and different friend groups, but you're still together. And then one day you just step on each other's toes a little bit too much, and next thing you know, they're gone. They disappear out of your life, and it almost feels wrong that somebody who you've invested so much time in can disappear just like that. That took me, honestly, multiple months to really figure out what I had done wrong, because it was if I had just been standing at the doorway and somebody slammed the door in my face and wouldn't open it up, let alone even unlock that door. And it wasn't until, like I said, a few months down the road where I realized I didn't do anything wrong. I stayed unfazed when it happened. I deep down knew it wasn't my fault. And I knew that if that person ever changed their mind and they wanted to become friends with me again, I would have to connect with them and say, hey, listen, man, I'm open to seeing what this friendship entails again, but I just want you to know that what you did seriously hurt me, and it's not okay to treat people like that. And I truly want to know what I did for you to take actions like that, because I did not deserve that reaction. And due to having this mindset and building it up over a few months, I was just able to stay unfazed when situations like that continue to arise in the future. Not all friendships are meant to last a mile. And if people aren't willing to come along with you and change along the way, sometimes you just have to say goodbye to those people for at least a period of time before you can reopen those doors and allow yourself more time to invest in those relationships. Another scenario where something could have phased me, and I've done my best to not let it get in my way, was, of course, last year. My father died after a 6-year battle with colorectal cancer, which is one of the cancers that's a leading cause of drinking too much alcohol. For those of you that love to go out Friday, Saturday, sometimes Sunday nights and keep boozing, 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 just be aware what might be coming down the line. But beyond the point. Of course, I lost him last year, and that was a big issue to deal with, a big problem for me to acknowledge, because I chose not to be alongside him when he was in those final moments of being alive, and instead be with the people who I thought I cared about the most, in terms of friends that could take care of me, people who were along my side and there to offer support if I needed it. But also, I knew that if I would have been alongside of him there, that would have caused a much larger train wreck for me down the road than if I had made the choices I did. Because making the choice of being away when unfortunately that happened, which obviously we couldn't have predicted, but that's just how life goes. I was able to face it in an independent manner with the option of all that support around me. And instead, when I came back to town, back to reality, and I played in that first baseball game, literally the next day, I was out there and I was playing for him. I already knew my purpose had been planted into the ground in how I'm going to do anything at my cost to not only make him proud, but to treat my mom the life that she deserves and do my best to make it happen for the both of us, along with my friends and everybody I care for the most in my life. So that area of my life could have been fully equipped with grief and pain and suffering and struggle and not knowing what's next and how do I recover? What am I coping with? But I knew I had to use this as fuel to bring me closer towards my goals for what I know will at least relieve levels of stress in the future. That being said, always acknowledge your feelings and don't just continue to shove things under the rug because that's what will always bite you in the ass when it comes to relationships or even things within your own mind. Another situation where it's best to stay unfazed and not let anything shake you on your course is when you're going through different trials and tribulations of life in terms of jobs and careers. I've been in the hospitality industry for the past 5 years now, ever since October 2020, where I got my first job at Liberty Kitchen. Shout out South Surrey, all my homies there. And that place really nurtured me into what a beautiful hospitality scene can look like. And since then, when I moved out, I had to shift places and explore different environments, meet new people. And overall, it was filled with its ups and it was filled with its downs. And alongside that very difficult time in my life where my dad was just deteriorating in health, I knew that being in the hospitality industry wasn't going to be my be all end all. It was simply a means to get from point A, where I was then, to point B, where I'm trying to go now, which is becoming my own boss. But that is truly impossible when you're giving in hospitality even upwards of 30 hours a week to somebody else. That isn't always the hardest of labor. Sometimes you're not breaking a sweat, but you're using your valuable currency, which is your time. And in return, you're getting paid money, which is a lot less sometimes than you deserve. So when I was thinking about this more in my head, I was waiting for an opportunity to come up where I could finally pull the trigger and go all in myself. And when that finally happened and I got laid off, unfortunately in one sense, and I'd quit my other job, I knew the only option was to commit all in here on social media and this new door that had opened for me. But that was filled with a lot of unknown. What if I failed? What if my family judges me? What if my friends disagree? What if? And I just had to shut that door, not let any of that shit faze me, and believe that I am capable of doing it. Because if you don't harness a certain level of self belief within you, that you're capable of achieving the larger goals that you have in mind, you're simply not going to get there. Because your mind is either going to be your biggest beneficiary or your largest advocate. And I just do not want mine to be an advocate. So I do almost everything in my power, 90% of the time, to be my biggest cheerleader. Since the path of an entrepreneur is one that's less traveled, it is quite lonely. You're literally going the path of the lone wolf, abandoning the group, and believing that the path you're heading on is the correct one. And the only way you'll grow and continue in this realm of so much uncertainty, fear, judgment, lack of money, abundance of money, is if you accept that these speed bumps and failures are simply learning periods along the way. And those learning periods are necessary for you to get from one stage to the next, which means if you get shaken out, super unfazed, but not unfazed, you get super shook, worked up, you're worried about the future, what's going to happen next month, what's going to happen in 10 years from now, what about the end of this year? You're not focused on the present anymore, and you're simply losing track of your goal. You have to do your best to be laser focused as if you were the boss making the schedule for your employee, and this is how they're going to best perform. Now you have to make that schedule for yourself and coordinate your days accordingly so that you are not only getting shit done, but you're still partaking in healthy habits and putting in a fair amount of ethic when it comes to your work ethic. Okay, don't slack off when you know you could be working. I'm speaking to myself from previous times, and I'm speaking to those of you at home who know they do the same thing. Now, I will say when it comes to dealing with loss in your life, trials and tribulations with getting new jobs, new career opportunities, and falling in and out of friendships, relationships, those are three key points where you can seriously lose track of your vision and be so phased by the situation that you actually fall out of rhythm completely and backtrack, if not hit rock bottom. And what I will say is if you can find your own way to take control of those emotions and harness the power that is within us men, but at the same time, of course, within you women, and use that for your advantage, use it in your most powerful sense, whatever that is speaking to you that you're capable of, that is your way out of feeling so down about yourself, absorbing the pity, sometimes even playing the victim card. And instead, you put yourself in the shoes of the author of your own story. You are writing your hero's journey, and you will do anything in your power to beat that villain at the end of it. So take this into consideration and hear me out going forward here. If you liked what you heard today, I'd love if you dropped a subscribe on the channel, like this video to show some love, and drop a comment down below if you made it this far. Comment the word Stoic, and I'll know you made it to the end of the video. And if you did that, you're a real one. You'll be hearing from me.